everybody, and welcome to the channel. I am Stash Daddy, commonly referred to as the Alabama Turnstile. And in today's Hot Take, we will be taking a look at the new HBO series, The Last of Us. Is it good? Is it a steaming pile of woke Hollywood water trash? Well, I, in the glory of the upcoming year, give a twizzle and a nod to the showrunners over at HBO, as well as the creators, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin. I apologize. Let's say Mazin. Craig Mazin, for releasing what I now consider to be the best video game adaptation since Mortal Kombat Uno. Right? This show is fantastic. I would even go so far as to say if the showrunners can keep it on its current path, that it could rival TV giants of the same ilk. Dare I say, The Walking Dead. Now I know. I can already hear the fanboys crying out, but I'm here to tell you, just watch. If the story continues to hold true to the narrative, Ellie and Joel's relationship will make you drive home to your father's house and give him a nice hug. And hell, with 2022 in the rear view, it's probably not a bad idea anyways. All this to say that The Last of Us TV series is fucking awesome. So here are 5 reasons why you should stop watching this video immediately and go support the show. Let's get going with number 5. The showrunners actually respect their fan base. I know, crazy. In 2022, oh wait, that's right, 2023 is upon us. The year of the cinema comeback. Okay? Now, let's talk about this. What does that mean, the showrunners actually respect their fan base? Well, what that means to me is they respect the source material that I am a fan of, right? I played all The Last of Us. I love all the games. Number 1 more than number 2. Whatever. But they choose to keep the story the same and take their free time that they have and they bolster the project by adding in bits of narrative structure and beats that I didn't even know I wanted. Right? Little things here and there. Right? You're here to make the story better, not change it to suit yourself. And in doing so, you respect the fans. You respect me. And I love that. I cannot tell you the excitement I had watching this show. I'm just sitting there. I remember my wife was probably getting so annoyed with me. And as they're driving down in the truck, when all the chaos is ensuing, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, so if it's anything like the games, they're going to run into da-da-da-da. And most of the time I was right. It was terrific. I mean, it was like a fun game of Clue, but with movies. Like, how are they going to do this? Ooh, are they going to tie that together? Yes, they did. The writing, man, it's incredible. And one of my favorite things about it is they don't pander to us with excessive fanfare, and instead use that time to really put a foundation under critical moments with backstory, making those critical moments more emotional for us, again, making the story stronger. Where, for instance, the game starts out, and again, I'm going to be referencing the game a little bit, it's a video game adaptation, I have to use it as source material, but one thing they do is, in the game, it starts off the intro very fast, and this is a legendary intro, might I add, but very fast, it gets right into the heat. But in the adaptation, they choose to take a little bit extra time, because they have more time, right? Taking out all the gameplay, I'm assuming we're left with about 6 hours of narrative structure from the game that can be adapted into, I would assume, about a 10 to 12 hour show. So you have a little bit of meat and potatoes to work with. So they chose to show you a little bit of the day before to bring up that emotional punch that comes with the intro. Not gonna ruin it for you, but man, it made me shed a tear. Oh! And spoiler alert, the adaptation did the same. It's amazing! But, they went through the day beforehand, and they showed a bunch of stuff that I wasn't familiar with, and I remember wondering, I was like, what is this, man? I really hope they don't take this in a different direction, but they didn't. They did a classic writing trope where they show you the world before and then after the chaos ensues, like a mirror image of itself, a mirror image chaos, right? And man, I can't talk about it enough. But that's number 5. The writers, the showrunners, HBO, thank you for respecting me. Thank you for respecting the fans. It was a breath of fresh air. And in 2023, that's what we needed. Alright, number 4. The setting and tone are just right. It's dark. It's gritty. It's got a little bit of dark humor to it, mostly in the form of Ellie, but that was the same way in the game, and it works. It really works. Now let's start off with the setting. In the game, you didn't get too much of an understanding about what's going on within the city that you find them in such and such amount of time down the road. In this, they really show you the mechanics of that city that they're living in. The battle between the Fireflies and the, I guess, governing force. I don't even exactly remember what they're called, but the governing force of that area to keep them safe. They show you what they do with the bodies. They show you how they get food, how they get dragas, many other things that made that world feel real. And I was so glad I was like, what are they going to do with this extra time? Boom. Bring up the structure. Make it strong and powerful. Fuck yes. God, I'm so happy. Now the tone. The best way to exemplify the tone. The brutality. Right? A great carryover from the game to the adaptation. The combat. Everyone knows The Last of Us is known for their combat. The brutality of it. Just slinging, ding, ding, meat smashing. It's amazing. And I'm happy to say they carried over that same tone here. There's no flashy martial arts, no backflips, no nothing. Just hand on fist, concrete meets face. It is brutal in all the best ways. And again, I don't want to go too deep into it. I want you to experience it. I'm trying to give away the least amount of information possible to get you interested to go out and support this thing. Number 3. The characters. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes, because let me talk about these characters. They are fantastic. I'm going to start with the man, Joel, played by Pedro Pascal. And initially I was a little bit worried. I'm like, oh man, I hope they don't try and bastardize this character, and because Pedro Pascal doesn't really look like Joel all that much, but when I saw him in the character, at least initially, to me he didn't, but when I saw him in the character, his demeanor, the way he talks, the stoic nature of the character, he doesn't answer, right? He keeps it close to the vest. He's very emotionally reserved. I loved it. I mean, I can't talk enough. So we're gonna move right on to Gabriel Luna, aka Tommy. Another character. A little confused. I was like, he doesn't really look like Tommy. What's this gonna be? Great. Kind of unhinged, military veteran. You know. And they use his backstory to explain a very interesting thing in the beginning. Again, no spoiler, blah, 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 blah. But it also feeds directly into the Tommy character. Everything they added feeds straight into the characters in a believable way. They don't remake these characters to fit the modern audience. They make the characters the characters. And it's a beautiful thing. Now, Bella Ramsey, Ellie. Woo! Woo! Star! Fantastic! Lady Mormont. Right here. This is for you, Lady Mormont. This was the most nervous I was for a role. Ellie is pivotal. I mean, Joel and Ellie's relationship are really what makes it the whole story fantastic and work. That father-daughter dynamic. But holy shit. The quirkiness, the kind of like asshole-ish nature, but it's good-willed at the same time. Her grittiness, her toughness. The switchblade. It's there. It's ready to rock. Fuck, it was so good. So yes. Ellie, Lady Mormont, Bella Ramsey, you're a fucking legend. Now, Nico Parker, Sarah, Joel's daughter, and not in it for a ton of time. I'm not gonna go into why, to not ruin anything, but I think she did it fucking perfect. I was kind of off-put by her initially. I was like, why Are they showing me all this new stuff? I just want to get right to the meat and potatoes. Please don't ruin this adaptation, blah, blah, blah. But as I followed her around, I saw his daughter in her. At least what I knew of her from the games. And Nico, you exemplified it great. You did a fantastic job. I was with you. I cared about you. And of course, at the scene that matters, the tear fell. You got it. You win. Okay? That's all I have to say about it. Now, let's move on to Marlene, leader of the Fireflies. Be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of hers in the games. There wasn't too much to her character other than the fact that she was the leader of the Fireflies. But I will say, Burl Dandridge, I saw it. You fit the character pretty well. I felt like you were the character. Right on. Not a bad performance, but I mean in a sea of like outstanding performances, you know, some are gonna be less than others, but I don't want you to think for 1 second it's bad. It's damn good. It's just, I mean, can I compare her to fucking Bella Ramsey's Ellie? No. But it is damn good. Now lastly, Anna Torv. Tess. Huge role, right? But either way, Tess, pretty damn good. Definitely got a Tess vibe. Again, I wouldn't put her up there with the likes of Joel or Ellie, Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal, but good. Definitely believable. I could feel like the hinting of the romance. I really wasn't 100% clear whether her and Joel are in a romance, but it was the exact same way in the game. I wasn't sure. There were slight hints here and there, and I could kind of see how potentially they could be together, but I wasn't sure. And that trend continues here, which, perfect. That's what I'm looking for. Give me what I want. Alright, now, we're getting into the big dogs. The top 2 things, the top 2 reasons I believe that you should just go do it. Go watch the show. Fuck you. Go. Get out of here. I'm just kidding. Stay a little bit longer. But then get the fuck out of here. Okay, go watch the show. Number 2. Dialogue and music. I'm going to start with the easier of the two. Music. Right on the dot. That guitar riff. Ding, 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 ding. I'm probably not right. Whatever. It's so iconic. The sadness in that riff mixed with the hopefulness of the world despite its grim demeanor. There's just something about it. They got that just right. Now for the dialogue. Wow. You want to adapt some dialogue? This is how you do it. You add tiny snippets of dialogue to account for the parts that you put in here or there to bolster the narrative. But you keep it, for the most part, the same, especially the beats that work. I mean, let's get down and let's talk about this intro. The intro was unbelievable. But so many times throughout the intro, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, is this audio straight from the game? Because I hear it and it's so exact. And I mean, I know it's not. So kudos to the actors for getting it so spot on. But I can't count the number of times where I would just hear something and I would know what was coming up. Again, it was annoying Mustache this whole time. But immediately after Joel and Ellie, let's say, are together, don't want to give anything away, but after they are together, it starts to rain. And I looked at Mustache and I said, I know what's coming. She said, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's raining. She said, what the fuck does that mean? One of my favorite, cannot miss scenes from the game. I was so worried. I'm like, please just put it in. You got to. You can skip a few things, a couple of the side plots, whatever, which they tied up extremely efficiently. But this you cannot. This you have to get right. And they did. They walked right out and they did it. They did it so well. And again, the dialogue. Everything. I want to tell you about it so bad. I might do a spoiler review. I might. If you guys like this, you want a spoiler review where I can really get into the nitty gritty, let me know below. Go ahead and give it a comment. But for the sake of spoilers, I'm not going to go into it. But I am going to go into my number one reason why you need to go watch this fucking show. The showrunners love the source material. I know you've hear me prodding at it basically throughout all of the reasons that I've given, but it's the truth. The showrunners, they respect the original vision. They're not here to create something that's their own. No. They're here to create the best version of that story that is accurate and true to the story. Right? I don't need to know about the writer's political opinions. I don't care. I don't want to be talked down to or any of that stuff. I don't watch movies to be lectured. I watch movies for this. This is the reason. 2023 coming in strong as hell with The Last of Us. Let's just go over the intro. Because that was probably the truest to the game that the adaptation got. The intro right off the bat, initially I'm like, what's going on? This usually gets off to a bang. But they took us through a day in the life of his daughter. Which, given what's to come, no spoilers, but it increased that punch that was to come so much by adding context and familiarity with the character. You get to go around, you get to learn a bit more about the town, you get to feel more connected to the area that, I mean, you're not there super long, but you feel connected, which makes it hurt more when you lose it. You have to leave that safety, let's say. And so, but let's get right down to where they really start to like tighten it up. After all of that, not to say that was loose, it's all tight as a drum, right? But let's say whenever things start to shake down and they really start to walk the lines close with the game, the intro to the game, they played it so perfectly. The tension, the way they did Rose, oh man, I love that in the game. The game, they played the tension just right, little bits, just touching it with this or that. The dog's barking. Oh my god, the dog's dead. Not a spoiler. But by the time the stuff happens, you're just like, oh my god. And they didn't just make tiny changes that they had to. They made tiny changes that they should have because it's awesome. Okay? There was a moment where they are in the car and then they are suddenly not in the car. Right? Something happens to them. In the game, it's a big deal. There's an explosion type event. It's very cool. In the adaptation, they throw I want to tell you, they throw some crazy shit at you. I mean, I looked at it, I was like, that's not what happened. But that is fucking sweet. Like, I wish that had happened. It was that good. And then that final moment that I cannot tell you about, but the final moment, that emotional punch, everything I've been telling you about, bolstering the narrative, making sure it hits. Oh, it hits so hard. In my mind, I'm like, we'll see. Let's see what you got. All right? These ducks, tight as well. All right? It's going to take a lot of emotion to squeeze a tear out of them suckers. But that tear was squeezed. And I was happy for the juice. Okay? I know it's a weird way of saying it. I'm going off on a tangent. Those are my top 5 reasons. Go see the show. Go see it. Support it. This is what we need. 2023. Let's bring video game adaptations back into the fold. Okay? Let's not have like a Resident Evil type situation. Though, you know, I'm not saying anything about that show, but it just wasn't what I wanted. Okay? Let's not have a The Witcher Blood Origin type situation. Let's not have any of that. I'm not going to be shy about that. It fucking sucked. Fuck that show. Okay? Let's get back to the real adaptations where we respect the source material. You bolster the story that everyone cares about, and in doing so, you respect the fans and the upcoming fans. Right? You're not trying to pander to them. You're not trying to give them a lesson. You're just trying to tell them a good story, and that is what storytelling is all about. Somewhere along the way, we lost that. We decided it's a platform for us to preach from. False. I came here for the yucks. I came here for the, oh my god, what the fuck, that's crazy. I came here for the, oh shit. They just jacked that fool. For the moments, okay? For what I wanted to see. Oh. 2023. I'm gonna go ahead and give you one of these, okay? 2023. Fuck yeah. You're killing it. Keep it going. Yeah, that's a Mike's Hard Lemonade. Fuck you. Okay? Watch my calories. But outside of that, appreciate you guys coming in, stopping by, greasing the fingers, grabbing the popcorn, getting ready to rock.
Sorry about this, guys. The audio cut out. But, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.